Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year, great girlfriends. Happy New Year to you. Woo! Happy 2023, great girlfriends. Wow. How awesome is it for us to all walk into this new year together with fresh energy, good health, right minds, happy families, just so many blessings that we're all walking in. I am so excited to have another year with you, great girlfriends. This is actually going into year 8 of podcasting, of the Great Girlfriends podcast. And it's been such an honor to journey, to get to know so many of you personally, to have so many wonderful experiences with you, to just get an understanding of what your needs are and be able to meet them through this podcast and community, and to set a culture that really, really amplifies the fact that friendship is dope and the whole world needs to know it, right? And even over this holiday break, it's been wonderful to run into some great girlfriends out and about. Like in Memphis, for example, I met Kathy and Lucinda. I hope I got your names right. And then in New York, I ran into some great girlfriends at a couple of places that I was at in New York. And so I'm just really, really excited to see how the community continues to intersect. 2023 is about to be absolutely wonderful. I know so many of you are either vision boarding or planning, but I want you to make sure you are registered for the Ready, Set, Go challenge. It's taking place January 22nd through 24th. It is a virtual 3-day challenge. It's for every single great girlfriend who is ready to take everything in your life to the next level. If you have some enoughs, you probably got some things that you need to say enough of, right? Some things that you allowed in 2022 that you want to say enough of, or things that you say not enough of. I need more in this area. Those categories, I want to work through that stuff with you. So in this 3-day virtual challenge, we go through all the stumbling blocks. We talk about the mental barriers, and we help set a strategic plan that is a winning, kind of foolproof plan for each one of us to go forth into our new year, knowing that if we do get stuck, we have the keys to get unstuck. If we want to get laser focused, we know exactly where we need to target. And when we need accountability, we know exactly who we should call on. And so this challenge is for you. I want you involved. Again, January 22nd through 24th, I want you and your greatest girlfriends. I'm not asking, I'm telling you that this is the experience you want to have. This will be year 3 of the Ready, Set, Go challenge, and every single year has been simply amazing. So I'm super excited. I have a very long URL for you. It's long, and I probably should have changed into it a bit.ly, but I didn't. So grab your pen and paper and take down this URL. greatgirlfriends.kartra.com/page/RSG challenge 2023. That's greatgirlfriends.kartra.com/page/RSG challenge 2023. Register today. And when you get in there, pre-order my new book. Yes, I have an ebook. And it's a good one. It's going to be the ultimate pocket guide for you when you when you're feeling stuck and you want to get unstuck, when you're experiencing self-sabotage and you really want to break through, when you need some confidence to know that you're dope, you're magnetic, and you're electrifying, and sometimes life knocks us down, but you can get back up. When you want that reinforcement, this book is for you. Ready, Set, Go. 5 simple keys for overcoming self-sabotage. I want every single great girlfriend to have it. I want you to gift one to your other great girlfriends. It's a book, and it's got some workbook components, and it's such an amazing read. My pre-readers have had some really great things to say. I was incredibly nervous to have people read it, but I did not want to have another year of knowing that I had this knowledge in my head and not download it into book form for you. So that book is available now, all under the Ready, Set, Go challenge. Get inside the challenge. Make sure you register. Pretty please. And also make sure you order that ebook. And when you register, get into the VIP too. Now, for this week's episode, we're still into a rewind from our 2021 Doers and Disruptors Conference because the content was so amazing, and I wanted to gift this entire catalog of the conference to the community. So you can go to YouTube and watch all of the videos and see the experience for yourself. But today I want you to listen in, and that's Under the Great Girlfriends. Let me make sure I make that clear. Subscribe, Under the Great Girlfriends. But today I want to make sure that you dive into this conversation on how to be a power broker. And in this conversation, I have three dynamic women who are all making waves individually and collectively for themselves and for the community and for the culture. So we've got Rahquel Purcell, we've got Tiffany R. Warren, and we have Joy Brown. This conversation was so powerful and so impactful. I promise you need pen and paper. I promise you're going to rewind it 10 times. And I promise you're going to share it with all your great girlfriends. I don't want to hold you any longer. Happy New Year. I love you. Enjoy this week's episode. And I will see you inside of the Ready, Set, Go Challenge, January 22nd through 24th. Love ya. Let's show some love. Let's start out with, who's my first power broker? Joy Brown. Go Joy, go Joy, go Joy, go Joy, go Joy. Hey. All right, we're going to bring up our next power broker, Rahquel Purcell. Hey, hey, hey. Come on up, come on up. And last but not least, our final power broker today, Tiffany R. Warren. Come on, girl. I'm messing with Tiffany. Okay, ladies. Let's talk, because I know it ain't easy, but you have realized that it's not easy, but it's essential to sit in the rooms and the stations and the meetings after the meetings and the texts before the meetings and the emails. You've also learned how to type it and delete, right? Who does it? Because I know I do. And then retype it and then breathe. You've also learned how to navigate the demand of travel, rigorous expectations, being pressed to do things that other people may not be asked to do. You've also navigated motherhood along the way. How do we hold down families and balancing life while we're lifing and working? How do we make it all come together? I want to know some of the secret sauce. Who thinks they got the secret sauce?
There you go. That's the myth right there.
There it is. Let's do it.
Yeah, there's the myth right there. So hi, everybody. The energy in this room, can I just say, it is giving me life. It's fantastic. But listen, you can have it all, but not all at the same time. We have to let go of this myth of a fairy tale. It's not real. You are on a journey. And if you are comfortable, you aren't doing anything special. You and everyone around you, right? Breakthrough is...
Rahquel, panel's over.
Okay.
Panel's over.
My time.
You aren't doing anything special if you're comfortable.
Correct.
I have to say I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yes.
Okay, as you were, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, no, and I'll share the space with the other panelists, but I mean, that's it. So oftentimes what I find is people are in the pursuit of, that makes me, a little nervous or a little uncomfortable. I would say lean in, authentically lean in with data, with information. I would even suggest prayer, but lean in, right? Lean in, because that's where magic happens. That's where you stretch. You think about what happens when you're trying to lose weight. You lift muscles. You are sore, right? Breakthrough does not happen when you're comfortable.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Everyone knows the saying that nothing comes out of comfort zones. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. When we walk in our authenticity, which is what we're talking about today, is that it's so easy to get comfortable with what we know, right? You do what you know. You can be here with your friends and stick to the women you know. But the challenge is showing up in a space that is not comfortable, something that's foreign to you, and being authentically yourself. What we have to really do when you talk about lean in, we need to lean in on ourselves and understand that each individual woman in here, we all have value, we all have a point of view, and we all matter. And so it's just a matter of connecting with other great girlfriends or other corporations or someone within your organization that can be your advocate, who could be your sponsor, who also sees your value. And when you can walk into this space and someone knows your name before you walk in there, then you know that you've conquered coming out of your comfort zone.
That's so good. Tiffany said, amen. I want to really quickly highlight that L'Oreal here, we've got Rahquel, who is really taking that space and really owning it from a beauty perspective, making sure that we're represented, right? And I think that is so important.
Yes.
We have got to clap it. Representation
Matters.
You can't get any more. And I'm going to go around to why representation is so important. Then Joy, we're going to talk about your leap, because Joy, I know you were in the music industry for a couple of turns around the sun.
Yes.
And represented major artists, and you navigated and went into very high ranks in the music industry, and you have now taken a corporate leap, which we're like, how do you do that? How do you know when it's time? And then Tiffany is the founder of AdColor, which is diversity, representation, and advertising, in addition to being an executive in diversity and inclusion at Sony Music. So when you talk about having it all, not all at once, and prioritizing the mission, I couldn't think of three women who really have reflected how they are able to navigate those corridors, which can be ugly. And I want to get into the loneliness part of it, because sometimes we want camaraderie and it's not always there. Who wants to talk about being the only one and being, okay, Tiffany said, I got this.
I'll take it.
Let's go, Tiff.
Because I've literally been the only one since I was, 2.5, and entered the educational system. But I just want to backtrack a little bit in terms of a system that I use and that I want to gift to the great girlfriends. And I've said it before, but one of the things that helps me get through, particularly when I'm making great leaps and bounds, or I'm suffering particular trauma in my life, is I think about this system that I was given actually at Essence, Women Shaping the World, which is really a conference that was a precursor to so many conferences that we see today, so I want to give them their flowers. But I was there, and a speaker talked about, in life we suffer good and bad trauma. So trauma is both good and bad. So good trauma is getting married, bad trauma is getting married. It's true. Good trauma is having a baby, bad trauma is what? Having a baby. So you identify the trauma, whether it's good or bad, and then the second step that you take is what life was and what it is because of that good or bad trauma. And most people get stuck between what is and what was. And you have to make that leap really quickly to what is. Because if you stick in what was, then you're going to be in pretty much a trauma circle for a long time. And then the third part is really the valley, and that's where I learned most of my lessons. And I've said this publicly, but I had a starter marriage. That's another panel. And that was a good and bad trauma. And the valley for me wasn't 3 minutes or 5 minutes. It was 3 years of working on myself before I got back out there. So the valley that you go through can last for a very long time, and you don't question it, but you have to go through it, because most valleys you do have to go through. And then finally there's the breakthrough. And the breakthrough is the best part, because for me, when I was going through my divorce, I had court in the morning, and then I had committee meetings in the afternoon to start AdColor. I was doing it on the same day. And so my breakthrough came the same time I was walking through my valley. I was like, how is that even possible? But I give you that because that's what's helped me, particularly when making, big leaps in my life or trying to help others to get unblocked from this space that typically, when I talk to them, what I identify is that they're still in what was. Like he was, or they were, or my boss was. When you talk about was, that's the past. And so this has helped me move forward in so many different ways, and to also handle being the only one, and understanding that sometimes that's good to be the only one, but also it's also not good. And then how do I think about what the reality of the situation is and what it was, and then just get really focused. And then the valley is where I learned the lessons on not just being the only one in the room, but teaching others to understand that I'm the only one. And that's what I made a career of doing, is making people understand the sensitivity and empathy towards people who are the only one, but may have that idea that may change your world or change your company.
That's so good, Tiffany. Thank you for that. Thank you. And I also want to get into your leap, because we can't forget that you also leaped as well from Omnicom over to Sony after a couple turns around the sun.
Couple years.
Yes, go for it.
I would love to build on the discussion about being lonely, and also encourage people to be comfortable with a level of vulnerability, right? Because oftentimes you feel alone, you're being private, you are suffering inward, and the more you are willing authentically to engage and reach out and connect and share, it's like many things, right? You find, well, there are a lot of people that are dealing with whatever, right? It opens doors, it creates access, it creates connections and relationships. And so I might be the only black girl in the room, but then I find some other Wolverines in the room who went to University of Michigan, right? Woo, woo, go blue. Right? Or I'll find, there are multiple elements in which you can connect. And it can change and reshape your experience for that situation and for that moment. So I have found that expands, right, the impact that I can make and just how I feel in those situations. I am an extrovert. Anybody that knows me, I get energy from people. That's what it means, actually. It doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be the center of attention. But so when I'm tired, I get up from my desk and I go walking and I start talking to people, right? I want to interact with people. Actually, it's funny, I said that, right? When I sat down, I was like, the energy in this room, yes. Right? And so I pull from that naturally. So an element of also knowing yourself, where are your safe spaces and where are the places that you need to push, again, outside of your comfort zone and challenge when you feel lonely, right? And then having a support system, because let's be real, there is an element, a physical element. And my husband and I, we celebrated 25 years of marriage this year. Thank you, but that is a journey. I love that. I love that. It's a gift. It's a journey, right? It's a journey. But having a partner or partners, Mickey often talks about, right, your circle. Your celebration circle. I hope you all had the chance. I don't know if that came up today, but the celebration circle, absolutely, right? We need those people in your life that when you see them, they give you that smile, they give you that love. My son called me yesterday and he was like, Mommy, he's in college. He was like, I need to have dinner with my mommy. Right? Everybody needs that, no matter what. He's this big, brawly, 6'2", right? But everyone needs that. So lean into that. It's okay, right? That level of vulnerability, we don't have to walk around and have all the answers and be tough. And actually what I find is people connect to you better, easier, when you're real.
I want to add on to that too, the loneliness and the connecting. When you, especially if you're an entrepreneur, which I assume some of you in here are, it can be really lonely when you start your business, right? Yeah. You're going to have people who are going to wait to see if you fail, or you're going to have moments when you don't even believe in yourself that you can do it, right? There have been times when I started Culture Creators, I was like, this sounds good, but this is a lot of work. Am I cut for this? Am I going to be willing to walk into any room and be able to talk about it and then understand that my job, my day job, my corporate job is not, they're not fans of it. So how do I operate? And what I found is that there is a gift to loneliness at times, because no one is going to see your vision but you. And if you keep yourself busy, if you keep yourself listening to outside sources, you're going to lose your vision. And no one's going to love your baby, if you're mothers, the way you're going to love your baby. You can hire as many people as you want. You can have as many teams and agencies work if you want, but no one is going to drive it. So when you're in those moments where you feel lonely, you have to keep your eye on the prize and say, what am I doing this for? And then again, you talk about your celebration circle. Very, very important. Very important. Not to say that you stay in loneliness, but when you come out of it, lean in on your friends who are there. I had to apologize to my friends. I said, you know what? I know I have not been present the way I normally am. Please forgive me. Even my family, because it takes sacrifice to build a business. There are lonely times, there are late nights, you're burning, especially if you're working in corporate America and then you leave corporate America and you start your passion project. You are up, Tiffany, you're up all the time. You don't have time to go out and hang out with your friends. You're going to miss this event. You can't do that event. You can't show up because you're busy doing your vision. And it's lonely at times. Yeah. But I would say, keep pressing through those moments, because on the other side of that is success. The other side of that is celebration. The other side of that is you get through that valley that you have to go through and climb that mountain, and you look back and you say, this is what it was all for.
Yes. But I also wanted to, who's an introvert in here? Introverts, love you. I see you. I'm actually surprisingly an introvert. Nobody believes that. Literally nobody believes it. But I actually get devastatingly tired when I'm around too much people. This is the truth. And I think about even ad color, there's like 1,200, 1,300 people who are all shooting this energy at me. And I literally end the day with back spasms. And I actually retreat to get my energy. So I wanted to shout out the introverts, the ambiverts, and the extroverts, because it takes all of us.
Wait. What was the second one?
So ambiverts are people that are both introverted and extroverted.
That's me.
Who are the ambiverts? Who are the ambiverts? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And so I do come alive when I do panels and I do something social, but you'll see me, they'll be like, where's Tiffany? I'm dipped. I'm already in the bed. And I do that at my own event, which is crazy. Everybody's looking for me, and I'm already in the hotel with the slippers and a glass of, red Cabernet, and everybody else is at the after party. But I say all of that because I know myself. And I think my world changed when I found out or decided, because we haven't talked about the T word yet, but therapy. I wanted to sort of know more about myself. And I got through therapy, and I'm still doing it, but really owning that I'm an introvert, even though the things that I do are very extroverted, whether it's my job at Sony Music or with Ad Color or my mentors or different celebration circles that I have. I retreat. That's what I need. So don't be afraid to really identify who you are. Yes. And that's the way you're going to respond to loneliness. Like when the pandemic happened, people were literally freaking out because they weren't going to be able to go to events, and I was running one, so I freaked out for a different reason. But then I paused and I was like, I don't know how long this is going to be. And it turned out to be a long time, but it was such a gift. At least for introverts. It was like, no pressure to dress up. And I know, and again, I say, my prayers, and, there was a lot of loss, obviously. And so I don't want to be glib about it. But I'm just speaking generally that through all that horror and all the things that went on, there were gifts that were given to us. And even coming in here, how happy everyone was to see each other. So I do think that loneliness now has taken on a different meaning for a lot of people. At least for me, I now know how to manage it, and manage it with the kind of personality type that I have.
That is so good. Okay. I got questions from our Facebook group, and one of the major questions was about, how do you know when to stay? Right? How do you know when to stay and journey through the next chapter at a company or in a position? And then how do you know that it's time to leap? Who's in the middle of that question? If your boss is in the room, don't raise your hand. But if you out here by yourself today, who's wondering, how do you know?
Yeah.
And
I have a good one.
Okay.
I have a good one.
How do you know? Tell us.
So my line leaving was, I'm not leaving Omnicom because I don't like it. I'm leaving because I love it. Because I knew it was time for me to move on and to provide an opportunity for the next generation of diversity leaders to stand in what I created and then go somewhere else and be challenged. And just the recognition of that is really, really difficult because there's ego wrapped into it. It was like I was synonymous with this company. I spent 11 years. It's given me so much. But I really meant what I said when I said, I'm not leaving it because I don't like it. I actually love you guys. Literally, it broke my heart. But I also have dreams, and as a CDO, often people overlook your dreams because you're helping build theirs. And so I centered myself. I said, what do I want? And I recognized that I had put in place something really special there that would last far beyond me, and that it was okay to leave. And so that's the way I looked at the change, was actually loving the company that you're leaving. Everyone has a different story, but that was mine.
Yes, that's so good. Joy, congratulations on your new leap as well. Joy just took on a new position. Very good, yes.
So my leap is relatively new. I have been at Atlantic Records for 21 years, since I was 2. And, the position that I had was one that I kind of created for myself. So I was in my own lane, kind of, working, towing the corporate line. I built culture creators while I was in this position. And what I realized is that I was in my comfort zone for a very long time. And what happened is that I'm a creative being, so I need to stay building things and creating things, and that's what happened. I didn't realize that, but I built culture creators because I had grown complacent, And so I put my energy and my creativity into building a company, which is a blessing. I'm not knocking it at all. But I realized I was in my comfort zone. We talked about that, right? And so for me, leaving was a very hard decision because I had grown up in this organization. I got married, got divorced, had children. These people were family. And I knew that if I was leaving, it had to be right. It had to be something that could uplift me, but also I can bring my company with me on my back, because I had made up my mind that no matter where I was going, even the company, even at Atlantic, that if they gave me a choice to either do my day job or build culture creators, I was prepared to leave because I was compassionate about what I was building. And so this company that I'm at now, it's no secret, they courted me 5 years ago. And I was like, it wasn't right. And I said, I'm not leaving family for something that's not right. And I just trusted my instinct. And I remember I was getting ready to do our awards brunch, which is an undertaking because we were going to do it a hybrid event, and then we decided to do in person and turned it around in 4 weeks. So when I tell you it was a full-time job to invite 450 people, to bring in sponsors, to get, cameramen, all this kind of stuff to turn around in 4 weeks, I was just focused, right? They called me. And I was like, I blew it off. I was like, they want the same thing. And then something, a little ear said, listen to what they have to say. And I flew out to LA and I sat down with the CEO. And as we were talking, and I was authentically myself for the first time in a conversation in a long time. Because for me, I felt like I had nothing to lose. Because I have my family here, right? I said, I'm gonna, let me put out what I really, really want and see what comes back. And so I said, it has to be this, it has to be that, and this is how I work. And I told them exactly how I had to work. And they turned around and looked at me and they were like, she's it. And I would tell you, during the course of dinner, by the time dessert came, I don't know, God came to me, he said, you're home. And to sit there amongst strangers, to be authentically myself, unpack who I was and be comfortable, and for them to say, we see you, we value you, well, it was like, it was no decision. It was no decision to make there. And so it was very, very challenging. I'm 2 weeks in, I'm still learning. 2 weeks in, y'all, 2 weeks today.
Well, give it up, come on, y'all. She's gonna need all of our cheer along the way. Very fresh, but even still that, you said for the first time, you were able to just be you in a conversation and trust. There's an intuition there, a knowing that you are enough, that being you is, that people deserve to know you, Joy, the woman, and all the other stuff will come along with that, the accoutrements.
And let me speak to that, to be in a place where you are comfortable knowing that you are enough. I know we can all be honest here, right? We struggle with that. And it took me a while to get to that point where I could walk into a room and say, you know what, I'm like Tiffany, I'm an introvert, extrovert, Sometimes I want to be in the club and partying, sometimes I want to be by myself at home with my kids. And so I accept that that's just who I am. And that's my journey, and understanding that that's who I am, I can walk into a room and know accordingly what I need to do, right? Because one, I made up my mind that I'm going to be a better person at networking. People will not believe me, but I am not good at networking. I'm going to come into the room, be with people who I know, say hi to who I want to say. And so, you know what? When I walk into the room, I say, my goal is when I walk in here today, I want to meet 2 new people. Not a lot, just 2. Because that's taking me out of my comfort zone, right? Anybody can do that. So my challenge for you ladies today, if you are one who like to operate in your comfort zone and stick to your own circle, don't leave here without meeting 2 new women today, all right? That's your goal today. Walk away, 2 new people, outside of your circle, outside of what you do, 2 new people, and connect with them after that, because you just never know who knows somebody, and next thing you know, you're doing business together.
That's right. It's true. That is true. Can I
Facts.
jump in?
Absolutely.
I really, the one thing as I listen to everyone, I just want to relieve us of the precision of knowing exactly what to do.
Thank you, Rahquel.
Right?
Thank you. Yes.
No, because it's a journey, right? So she, had the faith and leaped, and she jumped on the plane and went, and then, right? And so it was a journey, it was a process, and as she was there, she was leaning in more, and she was like, hey, I don't have anything to lose, let's see how this goes. So I just really want to relieve us of this precision, like, I have to know exactly, I have to know precisely, right? No, you will not. So I was at Procter & Gamble for 23 years, and I left. L'Oreal had stalked me for 4 years. Wow. And I had told them no 3 times over those 4 years. And I actually said to the man, I said, I really am flattered, but I would like to announce that this is the 3rd and final no. I did that, yes. Wow. I did that. And that same week, so my husband, we're in completely different fields. My husband is a football coach. Rutgers called my husband
Jersey
the same week. We are in Cincinnati, Ohio. What are the odds?
Wow.
Right? I got L'Oreal on my trail. Rutgers calls my husband. So what did I do? I called L'Oreal back and said, well.
You're like, hello, can I speak to L'Oreal?
Just kidding.
Hello.
Let's see what you're talking about.
I love it.
And then my story was very similar to Joy's, right? Because at this point now, right, ball's in my court. What do I have to lose, right? So I put it all out on the table. The process took 9 months, by the way, so not a quick and easy process. Again, 23 years, right, with Procter & Gamble. And so, here I sit. So it's just, there's a process. And this thing about like being comfortable, being uncomfortable, but leaning into that and committing and knowing that there are lessons and insights from that journey, right? You have to be pruned. There are things we need to learn. And my daughter is 23, and because her mama is in this position, right? She calls me for everything, and I'm like, chick, there are some things you got to experience, right? I'm like, your mama can coach you through all of these. Like some, you really have to bump your head. Right? And there's
we never want to bump
stuff.
our head either. We always want to make it smooth.
That's right. We don't want to bump our head. There's some good stuff in when you bump your head. So.
Okay.
I know that's counterintuitive. It's not
it's so good, but you know what it is? I think, and I want to ask this question because this also came up. I thought it was a great question, and it was from someone who's in mid-level management from our Facebook group, and she said, how do you know that you're getting scraps from the table versus how do you know you're getting how do you know, when you feel like you're siloed and you're uncertain, how do you know if you're getting scraps or if you're actually getting, the breast meat of chicken?
Well, the fact that you're asking that, I think you know. If you have to ask that.
You have to ask.
That's just because I asked that question for a while, right? Yeah. But I will say only because, when you think about certain positions, one thing that we don't do enough of is we don't open up or remove the screen. I think about the Wizard of Oz when they pulled the screen and he was managing all the different levels, whether it was Richard Pryor or I don't remember the guy in the original. But the point is that once we reveal what's behind the scenes, we go further faster. And I just saw Gabrielle Union talk about her book and how she got underpaid constantly on movies. And when she finally spoke to Taraji and other actresses, and Taraji was like, well, I got $4 million, and Gabrielle was like, what? And then now she's up there because people were afraid to have that conversation because of pride. Pride is one of those things where it comes up in terms of that whole scrap mentality with the young women and even men that I coach. You know, sometimes I coach knowing that I may not benefit from what I'm saying, but at least I can, because I'm in a moment, I can coach somebody else. Because when I was coaching at some point in my career, I wasn't in the space that I was coaching about, if that makes sense. But I wanted to coach and say, hey, I can't get out of this situation right now, but these are the things that I've learned for you to go further. And I think most people are uncomfortable with that authenticity and that transparency. I have constant conversations with, you know, my girlfriends and my guy friends who are moving and doing their thing and wanting to know the steps. One of the things that I said, which I thought everybody did, was have an employment lawyer at a certain point.
You actually put me on to that,
Yeah.
by the way. I didn't know. Tiffany was like, well, so-and-so needs an employment. I'm like, employment lawyer? Excuse me, what is that? I did not know, and I shared that.
Because at a certain point, you want to stop negotiating. You want to tell someone what you want, and then you want to just focus on being the candidate. So once that offer is made,
That's really good.
once that offer is made, I don't want to necessarily go back and forth about money. You're already teaching them how to treat you by putting someone between you and that offer and that company. So then, so the next offer you get, even one that, you know, you talk about the person was middle management, it's never too early to get an employment lawyer. I've had one since, well, different ones, but I've had one since 2005 when I first came to New York, because I thought, ooh, not 2005, I'm sorry, 1999. Ooh, coming to New York, ooh, it's big time. I got to get an employment lawyer. I don't know why I had that in my head, but I'm so glad I did.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that early job, they negotiated like vacation, and the bonus was like $2,000, but it was the most money I ever got in one check. And then they took the taxes away, and I just remember showing my mom and just being so proud. I'm like, I got this bonus. And that was 1999. I mean, obviously it's different now. Thank you, Jesus. But no, I've had an employment lawyer since 99. So it's just something to think about.
Oh, that's such a gift.
And I want to add to that, like, definitely get an employment lawyer. Don't be afraid to ask. You know, someone told me a long time ago, it's in books, you know, when someone makes an offer, we negotiate, right? When someone makes you an offer, you never take the first number they give you, right? You say, oh, can I digest that and get back to you? And then you go back and you counter offer, but let me lean in on this. So Tiffany, I'm gonna go back to us in LA. Tiffany and I was part of this little program we did, empowering women. And at the dinner, we talked about our value. Like, why don't we talk to one another about how much we make? That's so taboo, right? And you know what? In our business, especially in music, everyone keeps that so hush-hush, because you could be a senior VP making buku dollars of money, and you have a senior VP over here who's making way less, right? But if you don't know what this person is making, and you guys aren't talking, you don't know what to ask for, right? So fast forward to my new gig. I said, let me put to practice what I've been preaching. So when they made me an offer, and no secret, I'm at ICM Partners, I called Justina, who is at a competitive agency. I said, hey sis, I need to talk to you real quick. I said, you know, confidentially, I'm leaning on sisterhood. I said, they're making me an offer. I don't even know this business. What should I look for? And she leaned in. Make sure they offer you this. Make sure don't you walk away with this. They should be paying you this. And that's how sisters should be working together. Yes. We have to get over this thing that I'm holding back what I'm making. This is mine. You can't do it. Because that's not how we're going to collectively win. Because I know when I walk in ICM as a head of strategic partnerships, when I sunset, there's sure going to be a sister right behind me taking my seat, and she needs to know what to ask for. And that's our responsibility as women to one another.
Okay, yes,
Also, make sure, just really quickly, ask for stocks, both cash and there's other, just ask for all that.
Ask
you
for
can
stock.
talk to me
Yep.
after.
Stock, yes,
Stocks.
absolutely.
Stocks,
Absolutely.
they appreciate.
Sure. It's more important, actually. It's more important than money.
I said, am I on a partnership track? That was mine. Like,
Oh,
okay,
that's
stocks,
great.
but I want a partnership. So let me know if I'm on a partnership track. That was. Know what matters to you.
Yes.
You know, and again, don't be afraid to ask. I'm gonna tell you, I slept on so much money that I was too afraid to ask. I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm gonna tell you the truth because we're here. I have lost out on a lot of money because I was afraid of what I was gonna come back. I should have asked because you just never know until you ask. The worst thing they can say is no.
Yes.
Right?
And
then
also, I
you
think-
got you're where you
Yeah.
are. But if you don't ask, you don't get. Let's say closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask what you're worth.
But also, what is your walkaway number? Because in roles, I've had a walkaway number, meaning they offer me a number and I walk away because it's not the number
good.
that I want. So it's what's your walkaway number, and then what's your will you have my business cards ready number? Like there's a particular number that you
that.
hear, and you're like.
I like that.
And then you go like historically deaf. You're like, I don't think I heard what I heard. You're like, but I think for people in this, when you reach the C-suite, people are treated a certain way and there's a certain expectation. But often we're second citizens in the C-suite. So, I did something pretty crazy at the time. I went on CNBC and I just was very vulnerable and transparent about how CDOs are underpaid. And yet they're so strategic, they're so important, they're such an important part of C-suite, and yet they're treated very much like second-class citizens. And I can't tell you how many letters I got back that said people were able to renegotiate because of that clip. So when you talk about transparency, I may not even know the people that I help when I say stuff like that. Like hopefully the stuff that each of us have said today allows you to walk in your truth and renegotiate or walk away. Like you have both those options. Right now, the talent that looks like us, it's a talent palooza.
Yeah.
So just FYI, get yours.
And you're not moving for a job, right, for that position, right? It's for the next 2 or 3. So also include that when you are moving and negotiating, right? It's not just about that specific position. There has to be a trajectory, right? So when I joined L'Oreal, we talked about me being the COO, right? That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I know, right? Like, we could go all day, but then y'all would be so... I'm just so grateful for all that you share. Can we please give a big old round, because somebody's looking up an employment lawyer right now. Somebody's preparing 5 positions out. Really quickly, before we rush, don't be giving me the Oscar music, really. I want one I am statement from each of you. Joy, I am.
I'm powerful.
I love it. I'm powerful. Rahquel, I am.
I am blessed.
Yes, you are. I am blessed. Tiffany, I am.
I mean, just what's going on with me recently, I'll just say I am healthy.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ladies. All right, now we can clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_greatGFS. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.